to press the button. Oh. Oh, on that note, hi James, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
We're still in lockdown.
We're still in lockdown, little Jamesy boy.
Jessie girl.
I know. It's a real tragedy, but at the same time, I don't want COVID. Yep. I may have had a line or two. Huh?
How was your day?
This is how it's going. Yeah, a bottle of yellow. I'm showing the camera right now for people watching on YouTube. Oh, what's that? What's in your cup, James?
Lemon juice and Coca-Cola.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
it's
nice.
different. It's actually pretty good. It reminds me of the cocktail, you know, the one with Coca-Cola and all the different stuff.
Like what, Jim Beam? Oh, like what, Long Island iced tea?
Yeah. It's just a mocktail of that. Yeah.
That really fucks you up, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. The fun ain't gonna fuck me up.
So we'll say it's a Long Island. What can
mocktail?
Yeah. A Long Island mocktail. How original.
Yeah, so just doing it chill and you're on the hard stuff.
I'm on the beers. No, I'm not. I'm on the yellow Glen. Woo! Still drinking from my 30th birthday party. It was about months ago.
Yeah, still got bottles.
Still got bottles. And I thought I was out. And then I went to we have a walk-in robe, so to speak, where it's attached to the bathroom where my parents store their clothes. I'm like, what's this box? And there was all this other alcohol. I'm like, get out. And then I was cleaning my room. I always clean my room. But I found another box. And I think it's the wine that your sister gave me. And I'm just like, there's another 2 bottles there. I'm like, I'm pulling bottles from all over the shop here.
Classic.
How are you, James? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. I'm excited. My microphone's coming tomorrow and all my stuff.
What made you want to do it, James? Tell the public.
Well, being in lockdown, I just want to get moving.
I just want to get moving. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You can have your microphone and I can bring mine.
Yeah. And we can have a little recording session. It'll be fun.
It will be so much fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. James has sent me the jingle, so to speak. He's created the jingle and he's created the lyrics, and I'm donating my vocals for this. And I actually love the jingle. And I'm like, shit, this is actually quite catchy.
Yeah. It's got a little good beat to it.
Yeah.
Got a good vibe. I'm excited to work on it with you. It'll be fun.
Walker, stop it. Have a drink.
Okay. Why not? Yeah, so should we talk about our topic this week?
You tell the public. I was like, James, what should we talk about this Friday night? And he just flat out came out with a banger. Go for it.
So we're going to be talking about bizarre rituals from around the world.
You know how common this is? Different cultures have their different things, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I brought my crystal.
Your amethyst?
Yeah. Amethyst, something with an A. Amethyst.
Yeah.
From Garden World, aka Bonnie, who has previously been on the podcast and talked about plants. This is from her area. And
Nice.
congratulations, Bonnie, on your, well, she's continuing on with her life. So congratulations, Bonnie. This is for you.
Yeah.
Let's have another drink, James.
Cheers to Bonnie's new chapter.
New chapter for Bonnie. She's no longer working at Garden World.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
do you want to introduce your ritual?
Well, I was going to, what I've done, I found basically this little article and I thought, oh, it's pretty cute. It's pretty cute. So here we go, okay? So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you tell the public, since you created this, what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
Oh, with bizarre rituals from around the world.
Right. I presumed moon, but I think you meant like rituals in general.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to talk about the moon.
Okay.
I promoted this and presumed it was the moon. So here we go. So humans have always felt a connection to the moon. The sun may sustain our very life, but in many ways, the moon influences how we live it. Despite being just over a quarter of the Earth's size, that's a fun little tip there. The moon quietly pulls Earth's strings. It indicates tides, inspired how we track time, and affects animal behavior. Over time, different cultures around the world have developed stories, rituals, and celebrations inspired by the moon, particularly its full moon. From the ancient Sumerians, I butchered that, Sumerians developed the lunar calendar to tourists letting loose at Thailand's full moon parties. The created planet has woven itself into the fabric of mankind. My mother has come for a drink, so I'm going to pass my wine to her. Hi, James. And
Hey.
the world is listening, Mom. Oh, sorry. See ya.
So, you were saying?
So basically, there's something called, so there's different phases, different articulations, so to speak, but there's a baby's first full moon. What is that, you may ask? Well, it's a traditional Chinese custom to celebrate a baby's first full moon. For some Chinese mothers, the first month after giving birth is spent in confinement and resting and recovering. The baby's full moon celebrations, also known as a red egg and ginger party, is often the first time friends and family members get to meet the newborn. And then there's the moon's feminine energy. For many people of the indigenous part of North America, apparently, the moon represents divine feminine energy and is known as the grandmother moon. And the moon cycle, which is roughly the same length of time as a woman's menstrual cycle, is seen as a sacred gift to women, often referred to as their moon time. Oh, I didn't know. Okay. That's a new fact for me.
Ooh, your moon time.
It's the moon time. I always call it the bitch.
The bitch is visiting.
The bitch is back. And there's the lunar eclipse legend, which is the moon plays an important part in Balinese ceremonies, folklore, and agriculture. Both the full and new moon hold special meaning. So much so that if a religious celebration falls on or around it, the ceremonies are considered auspicious. I can't say that word. Auspicious and extended. Auspicious and extended for several days.
Yeah.
And then you can create your own ritual, apparently. It depends on what you believe in. And I always feel like when there's a full moon, I get a bit rowdy. I'm just like, what do you want, Mum and Dad? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. It must be like a werewolf deep down.
Undergoing your transformation.
Yes, my moon time, apparently. But enough of me, James. Enough of the moon.
Okay, so I've got a few like rituals I'll speak about. There are a couple of articles. Is it still recording?
It's showing Henry House, which is a delightful little TV show that James recorded years ago that you should check out on YouTube. But you can, yeah, we can hear you.
Can you? Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna get up the article that I've been reading, which was pretty cool. It had a lot of interesting basically rituals from around the world. So one second.
So keen, something other than the moon.
Yeah. Okay. So this were some of the interesting ones. So a lot of these rituals are rooted in like you know, a bit more of the darker side of things. So one of them is a ancient ritual from India. So holy men known to engage in post-mortem rituals, so for the dead. So what they would do is they would basically smear cremation ashes on their bodies and use the human bones to create jewelry, human skulls to make ritual skull like cups to drink out of. This is basically a old orthodox practice of Hindus, like Hinduism, where it comes from. So they would basically meditate and worship in sites which they would call haunted houses. And their practices and everything were rooted in the idea that being close to the dead gave you more what's the word? You know, healing powers and made you more holier. So pretty crazy. So you just smear basically the burnt body over yourself and drink out of skulls and create jewelry out of people's bones. Was some of the so the explanation behind it all was that basically they were like kind of priests and whatnot, and they would dig out the deceased bodies of their relatives and begin to chew on them. And the explanation was that each bite, the soul of the deceased gains more peace and welfare in the afterlife. And then once the ritual was completed, the believers bury the corpses again and leave the cemetery, only to return to the same ritual the next year. That's what they would do.
I'm actually
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So that's like a ritual tied back to ancient Orthodox Hinduism.
Oh my God.
Another one which I thought which was pretty cool was, obviously we've talked a little bit about mummification. So one of them was Japanese self-mummification. So the Buddhists believe in separating themselves from the world. So some monks took this idea to the extreme, and there was like a division of this. So they would begin preserving their own bodies, and this was to demonstrate their holiness. So the ritual started with a 3-year diet of nuts and seeds, and then they would complete a bunch of physical exercises to rid the body of all its fat. Then for the next 3 years, your diet would change to tree bark roots and a poisonous tea made from a uroshi tree. And the tea makes the monks vomit, and then they lose their body fluid, and also was to kill off any maggots that would move in after they die. Ultimately, the monk locks himself into a tomb, and there he has a breathing tube and a bell, and he would ring in order to signal to the other monks that he was still alive. Once the monks died, the tomb was sealed up, and then there's about 20 self-mummified monks who basically, yeah, you can go and see them. It's pretty kind of disgusting, but they're pretty well preserved because of what they did.
Isn't it interesting that this is normally the normal, you know, and it passes on from generation to generation?
Yeah, and it's just
like
kind of accepted. So another really like crazy one is from Venezuela, in South America, and it was a group of people who had a ritual of eating their dead. So the ceremony long predates their discovery by Westerners. So it's a Aboriginal group of people who are one of the few polyglamorous cultures, meaning they have more than one partner. So they basically would take hallucinogenics, and basically their death rituals was a major part of like their tribe. And it is thought that the dead are taken by soul eaters by unquenchable hunger who consume their life force. And if the chain is not stopped, they continue to eat until the whole world dies. As a result, in order to stop the evil soul eaters, that the tribe eat their own dead. First, they cremate the body, and then they grind them up, the biggest bones, in a mussel and pestle, and it became the base for a plankton soup. So it was a major part of what they did. So they'd basically burn the body, burn like the bones, and then grind them up. And it would form a formation of a soup, which they were have, and it was to stop the soul from being taken by evil spirits.
Literally speechless. There's so much in this world, you just don't know.
Yeah, so that's some of the ones. There was also a couple other ones that I wanted, which are really bizarre as well.
Yeah.
So a couple of the other ones which I found pretty interesting was what one was that? Sorry, I'm just scrolling through.
Wow.
So there was the sacrificial Viking slaves. So it was very much in Viking like culture and everything. There was often a kind of, I guess, a constitutionalized raping that would go on inside of the I guess, the tribe. So the girl was taken to another tent where she would have sex with 6 of the Viking men. And the last one was in charge of strangling the girl with a rope while the settlement's matriarch ritually stabbed her to death. And then the chieftain and his slave girl were placed then on a wooden ship to take them to the afterlife.
Oh my goodness gracious me. The sacrifice. That's in a couple of cultures, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh God. What a way to go, eh? What a way to go.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. They have there's also like really bizarre ones as well in terms of, the bear worship.
I think I've heard of it.
So a lot of like indigenous Japanese and Russian people have a bizarre, custom in their culture of sacrificing bears, believing that the bears are the gods and the sacrifice is to bless the souls of mankind. The practice involves killing a mother while she hibernates in her den and then raising her cubs in captivity for 2 years before choking and spearing them.
Jeez Louise. Jeez. Not one like walking thing in this life is spared, isn't it? I wouldn't have thought bears.
Yeah. that one I found like just really disturbing, but I guess like all these things just kind of come back to belief systems
Mm,
and like the ritual of it. And
ritual.
it's quite crazy because it's like you're taking like so you're killing the mother, you're taking in its two cubs, you're then feeding them and getting them so dependent upon you and looking after them. And then, in a moment of like thing, you basically then choke them and spear them when the time's right, which I found like how crazy.
Mental. It's kind of like a Game of Thrones theme. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's insane.
But another one is cutting off fingers. So most people, when they grieve, have a good cry, eat a tub of ice cream, maybe go see a therapist or a counselor. But
Yeah.
in Papua New Guinea, they do something extreme when they grieve. They cut off their own fingers. The ritual happens after a loved one dies, and some of the relatives cut off their fingers as an act of grieving. The practice has been banned in recent years, but you'll find old members of the tribes continuing to do the tradition.
That's insane, isn't it? But completely normal for
Yeah.
them. Makes you wonder
Yeah.
what's insane and what's sane, isn't it? It's just the definition you give yourself, really.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
God.
Another one is that living with the dead. It's pretty popular in
Ah,
Indonesia.
yeah, this I've
So
heard.
they keep the corpse of the deceased to live at home with them for years. They wash and change the corpse daily and give them a bowl that acts as their toilet. Their bodies are injected with formalin to stop the decomposing process.
They're just in the corner, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
The that guy, what's his name? What did Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, they sent that, What Idiot Abroad? What's that guy's
Yeah.
name? Baldy.
Yeah.
They sent him there, and there's an episode where it's just like the dining table and just like this dead body and like in a coffin sort of a thing in the corner. And it's completely normal. They're just like, yeah, it's just mum or dad or
Yeah.
my grandma.
So
Interesting.
another one. You probably would have heard of them. The Maasai's,
No,
Maasai warriors in Africa.
no. Tell me more.
So they have a ritual where they take the blood from a cow and they suck it out of like a
Ah,
tube and they feed off it, like believing that it's really good for you. So that's what they do, but it doesn't actually kill the cow, which I found kind of a bit weird. But anyway, they have it, obviously the cow's milk and then also drink its blood.
I've heard of the drinking of the blood. It's something pure, isn't it? Because the cow
Yeah.
even in India is meant to be like a sacred. Is it India? It's meant to be
Yeah.
sacred. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So something a bit light-hearted to mix it up. Obviously, the tomato fight.
Oh my god, that was my one. Go. I love it. Tell me, James.
So that's like, obviously a part of their tradition in the Spanish town of Banal. It's an epic battle is waged every year where you throw tomatoes at each other. And it's the world's biggest tomato fight and has been going on for 72 years.
Look at that.
Another really bizarre one in Spain that they do is a festival of El Chalaco, which men dress in yellow and red like devils and run through the streets insulting and whipping people.
Oof.
During this, new babies are laid out on mattresses in the streets, and these men dressed as devils leap over them. It is believed that it was once a fertility ceremony that mixed with Christianity to symbolize the triumph over evil.
Gosh. Makes you think, isn't it? In the day, like in those times, each culture, each civilization throughout time would have had their own set of belief systems, isn't it? And society dictated what was acceptable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like how like the ancient Greeks or Romans had certain gods that Egyptians even like had certain gods that they believed were real. And like now I don't think they're practiced. And there's certain traditions that have just faded over time. It just goes to show rituals and everything. Makes you think what's real and what isn't it?
Yeah.
How much is it? It's
So,
society and everything that's bolstering
you know,
everything.
yeah, well, in Chinese, the eating of the dogs festival. So like they believed that it's Yulin festival in China where the people eat dog meat, and it was for good luck and health according to Chinese superstition. They believe that eating dog meat increases your body temperature and all that kind of thing, but obviously it's, you know, being worldwidely condemned because a lot of people, you know, have dogs as pets. So obviously there's been waves of protests and social media outrage and animal rights concerns. Obviously, you know, it's an ancient festival that's been going on for a long time where the Chinese, you know, believe that the dog meat is for good luck and health. And yeah, they have those sacrifices.
It comes to that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I think that's how the saying goes, isn't it? Where it's going to have to be like the children of the future that dictate change.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you try to explain this to someone that's been doing this for what, 60, 70 years to change. They're not going to change unless they want to actively change.
Yeah.
Very interesting. There's heaps, isn't it? I'm actually looking myself.
In Borneo, there's a wedding custom. And it forbids the newlyweds from using the bathroom for 3 days and 3 nights.
So where did they go?
They're watched very closely during this time, believing that it will bring them good luck for the rest of their lives if they don't.
Oh my God.
But apparently, you know, people take all sorts of things to stop them from going to the toilet, but it can lead to like health problems.
Or you can like pee on the spot, like, oh dear.
Yeah. In Bali, they basically have a tooth filing kind of rite of passage. So it was to get rid of the humans' animalistic features, especially like people's fangs. So they would file it away so that it wouldn't look so animalistic.
Wow, that's kind of like that guy from Twilight. He chiseled his teeth. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's heaps of things, isn't it? The Mayans, heaps of civilizations that certain things mean certain, like superstition, then you get superstitious stuff around the world as well. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Another one was land diving. You've probably heard of this.
Oh yeah. Another idiot abroad episode.
A boy straps a rope around his ankles and jumps off the wooden tower around 75 feet, 25 meters high. But it isn't obviously bungee jumping, like there's no thing, it's just a rope. And usually the boys hit the ground below. And while a few have died from it, many have ruptured their spleens and have internal damage. But that's just a ritual that people do.
I saw kids doing that. I don't know what country it was, where it's all bamboo, isn't it? And it goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty different.
Pretty different. But, you know, each culture, each civilization, each depends what time you're born in. It's kind of like what the 15th century and everything, they believed in what witch trials, and when was that? 15th, 14th century?
Yeah.
It's very human beings, I tell you. One of a kind.
Yeah. So basically, in the Eskimo, like in new kind of culture, they have to work so hard with the elements of obviously, the winter and, trying to get food resources, staying warm, fires and all that kind of stuff, building igloos and all that kind of stuff, because it was such, harsh environment. So basically what they had in their culture is they would have, obviously big like hunts and everything, and like you had to do a lot to survive. So what would end up happening is that when the elderly couldn't help like the tribe anymore, they would be put onto an ice float and sent out to the sea to die by starvation or freezing to death.
Wow.
That's kind of what they used to do as a ritual.
Oh my goodness. Crazy, isn't it? I don't know why
it was kind of like one of those things in their culture is like once you were no longer able to help the tribe, like, you had gotten too old.
You're out.
You're out. You're sent off to an ice float to die.
They don't, bother with funerals. I guess the ritual
that was their funeral. That was the funeral for the person. It's like, bye.
Gosh, it's kind of just like pirates, isn't it? Like Pirates of the Caribbean, how they just either walk the plank or just dump the body in the ocean and that's it.
Yeah.
Very interesting, eh? Oh, well, James, that's 30 minutes gone like that.
Yeah.
We've spoken about, I think, absolutely everything from moons to the very intriguing, bizarre rituals from around the world throughout time. Oh, there he is.
Have you just been seeing my screen?
Yeah, I've been seeing the Henry house.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah.
Good old Henry house, yeah.
Yeah. But yes.
But there's some strange, bizarre things in history.
And they just keep
rituals.
It's not going to end here. There'll be plenty more in the future.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to like superstition and I guess cultural, what people culturally agree on.
Yeah. Your upbringing and just, what you're exposed to, really. It's interesting, isn't it? You could literally be doing any of that, isn't it? And think it's normal. Probably what we're doing day by day is like bizarre to other people. They're just like, what? They take the tram? What's a tram? Like to the city, or a train? That's insane. Is that your ritual that you do every? Yes, it is. Like,
yeah.
But James, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Jess. Well, I'll see you next week, I guess.
Yes. Hopefully we'll be out of lockdown. Fingers crossed. We're in lockdown for another week, people. So we're out next Thursday for Melbourne. So fingers crossed, everything's positive.
Fingers crossed, toes crossed, legs crossed, arms crossed.
Everything.
Eyes crossed.
That's more important, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.